right. Notifications go away. All right. We're live right now. Let me just record to the cloud here. All right, we're back. Sister Marissa is going to be reading now. She'll be starting our First Kings, not First Kings, my bad, Jeremiah portion for us. She'll be reading chapter 18 and 22. I just need to get the scriptures up on the screen for her. Okay. Jeremiah. Okay. Whenever you're ready.
Okay. The word that came from Yahuwah to Jeremiah, saying, Arise and go down to the potter's house, and there thou shalt hear my words. So I went down to the potter's house, and behold, he was making a vessel on stones. And the vessels which he was making with his hands fell. So he made it again. So he made it again another vessel, as it seemed good to him to make it. And the word of Yahuwah came to me, saying, Shall I not be able, O house of Israel, to do to you as this potter? Behold, as the clay of the potter are ye in my hands.
Sorry.
If I shall pronounce a decree upon a nation or upon a kingdom to cut them off and to destroy them, and that nation turn from all their sins, then I will repent of the evils which I purpose to do to them. And if I shall pronounce a decree upon a nation and kingdom to rebuild and to plant it, and they do evil before me, so as not to hearken to my voice, then will I repent of the good which I spoke of to do it to them. And now say to the men of Judah and to the inhabitants of Jerusalem, Behold, I prepare evils against you, and devise a device against you. Let everyone turn now from his evil way and amend your practices. And they said, We will quit ourselves like men, for we will pursue our perverse ways, and we will perform each the lust of his evil heart. Therefore, thus saith Yahuwah, Inquire now among the nations, who has heard such very horrible things as the Virgin of Israel has done? Will fertilizing streams fail to flow from a rock, or snow fail from Libanus? Will water violently impaled by the wind turn aside? For my people have forgotten me. They have offered incense in vain, and they will fail in their ways, leaving the ancient tracks to enter upon impassable paths, to make their land a desolation and a perpetual hissing. All that go through it shall be amazed, and shall shake their heads. I will scatter them before their enemies like an east wind. I will shew them the day of their destruction. Then they said, Come and let us devise a device against Jeremiah. For the law shall not perish from the priest, nor counsel from the wise, nor the word from the prophet. Come and let us smite him with the tongue. brother.
There's more there.
Come, okay, come and let us mice him with the tongue, and we will hear all his words. Hear me, O Yahuwah, and hear the voice of my pleading. For as much as evil is rewarded for good, for they have spoken words against my soul, and they have hidden the punishment they meant for me. Remember that I stood before thy face to speak good for them, to turn away thy wrath from them. Therefore, do thou deliver their sons to famine, and gather them to the power of the sword. Let their women be childless and widows, and let their men be cut off by death, and their young men fall by the sword in war. Let there be a cry in their houses, thou shalt bring upon them robbers suddenly, for they have formed a plan to take me, and they have hidden snares for me. And thou, Yahuwah, knows it all their deadly counsel against me. Account not their iniquities guiltless, and blot not out their sins from before thee. Let their weakness come before thee. Deal with them in the time of thy wrath. Then said Yahuwah to me, go and get an earthen bottle, the work of the potter, and thou shalt bring some of the elders of the people and of the priests, and thou shalt go forth to the burial place of the sons of their children, which is at the entrance of the gate of Chaldeans. And do thou read there all these words which I shall speak to thee. And thou shalt say to them, hear ye the word of Yahuwah, ye kings of Judah, and men of Judah, and the dwellers in Jerusalem, and they that enter in by these gates. Thus saith Yahuwah Elohim of Israel, behold, I will bring evil upon this place, so that the ears of every one that hears it shall tingle. Because they forsook me and profaned this place, and burnt incense in it to strange mighty ones, which they and their fathers knew not. And the kings of Judah have filled this place with innocent blood, and built high places for Baal, to burn their children in the fire, which things I commanded not, neither did I design them in my heart. Therefore, behold, the days come, saith Yahuwah, when this place shall no more be called the fall and burial place of the sons of Enom, but the burial place of slaughter. I will destroy the counsel of Judah and the counsel of Jerusalem in this place, and I will cast them down with the sword before their enemies, and by the hands of them that seek their lives. And I will give their dead bodies for food to the birds of the sky and to the wild beasts of the earth. And I will bring this city to desolation and make it a hissing. Everyone that passes by it shall scowl, and his because of all the plague. And they shall eat the flesh of their sons and the flesh of their daughters, and they shall eat every one the flesh of his neighbor in the blockade and in the siege wherewith their enemies shall besiege them. And thou shalt break the bottle in the sight of the man that go forth with thee. And thou shalt say, thou sayest Yahuwah, thus I will break in pieces this people and this city, even as an earthen vessel is broken in pieces, which cannot be mended again. Thus will I do, saith Yahuwah, to this place and to the inhabitants of it, that this city may be given up as one that is falling to ruin. And the house of Jerusalem and the houses of the kings of Judah shall be as a ruinous place, because of their uncleanness in all the houses, wherein they burnt incense upon their roofs to all the hosts of heaven, and poured drink offerings to the strange mighty ones. And Jeremiah came to the place of the fall, whether whether the whether Yahuwah had sent him to prophesy. And he stood in the court of Yahuwah's house and said to all the people, Thus saith Yahuwah, Behold, I will bring upon the city and upon all the cities belonging to it, and upon the villages of it, and all the evils which I have spoken against it, because they have hardened their neck, that they might not hearken to my commands. Now Pashhur, the son of Emer, the priest, who also had been appointed chief of the house of Yahuwah, heard Jeremiah prophesying these words. And he smote him and cast him into the dungeon, which was by the gate of the upper house that was set apart, which was by the house of Yahuwah. And Pashhur brought Jeremiah out of the dungeon. And Jeremiah said to him, Yahuwah has not called thy name Pashhur, but exile. For thus saith Yahuwah, Behold, I will give thee up to captivity with all thy friends, and they shall fall by the sword of their enemies, and thine eyes shall see it. And I will give thee and all Judah into the hands of the king of Babylon, and they shall carry them captives and cut them in pieces with swords. And I will give all the strength of the city and all the labors of it and all the treasures of the king of Judah into the hands of his enemies, and they shall bring them to Babylon. And thou and all the dwellers in thine house shall go into captivity, and thou shalt die in Babylon. And there shalt thou and all thy friends shall be buried, to whom thou hast prophesied lies. Thou hast deceived me, O Yahuwah, and I have been deceived. Thou hast been strong and hast prevailed. I am become a laughing stock. I am continually mocked every day. For I will laugh with my bitter speech. I will call upon rebellion and misery. For the word of Yahuwah is become a reproach to me and a mockery all my days. Then I said, I will by no means name the name of Yahuwah, and I will no more at all speak in his name. But it was a burning fire flaming in my bones. Wait, go back.
Sorry.
But it was a burning fire flaming in my bones, and I am utterly weakened on all sides, and cannot bear up. For I have heard the reproach of many gathering around, saying, Conspire ye, and let us conspire together against him, even all his friends, watching his intentions, if perhaps he shall be deceived, and we shall prevail against him, and we shall be avenged on him. But Yahuwah was with me as a mighty man of war. Therefore they persecuted me, but could not perceive anything against me. They were greatly confounded, for they perceived not their disgrace, which shall never be forgotten. O Yahuwah, that professeth just deeds, understanding the reins and hearts, let me see thy vengeance upon them, for to thee I have revealed my cause. Sing ye to Yahuwah, sing praises to him, for he has rescued the soul of the poor from the hands of evildoers. Cursed be the day wherein I was born, the day wherein my mother brought me forth. Let it not be blessed. Cursed be the man who brought the glad tidings of my father, saying, A male child is born to thee. Let that man rejoice as the cities which Yahuwah overthrew in wrath, and repented not. Let him hear crying in the morning and loud lamentation at noon. because he slew me not in the womb, and my mother became not my tomb, and her womb always great with me. Why is it that I came forth from the womb to see troubles and distresses, and my days are spent in shame? The word that came from Yahuwah to Jeremiah when King Zedekiah sent to him Pashhur, the son of Melchias, and Sophonias, son of Basias, the priest, saying, Inquire of Yahuwah for us, for the king of Babylon has risen up against us. If Yahuwah will do according to all his wonderful works, and the king shall depart from us. And Jeremiah said to them, Thus shall ye say to Zedekiah, king of Judah, Thus saith Yahuwah, Behold, I will turn back the weapons of war wherewith ye fight against the Chaldeans that have besieged you from outside the wall, and will gather them into the midst of the city. And I will fight against you with an outstretched hand and with a strong arm and wrath and great anger. And I will smite all the dwellers in this city, both men and cattle, with grievous pestilence, and they shall die. And after this, thus saith Yahuwah, I will give Zedekiah king of Judah and his servants, and the people that is left in the city, from the pestilence and from the famine and from the sword, into the hands of their enemies that seek their lives, and they shall cut them in pieces with the edge of the sword. I will not spare them, and I will not have compassion upon them. And thou shalt say to this people, Thus saith Yahuwah, Behold, I have set before you the way of life and the way of death. He that remains in this city shall die by the sword and by famine. But he that goes forth to advance to the Chaldeans that has besieged you shall live, and his life shall be to him for a spoil, and he shall live. For I have set my face against this city for evil and not for good. It shall be delivered into the hands of the king of Babylon, and he shall consume it with fire. O house of the king of Judah, hear ye the word of Yahuwah. O house of David, thus saith Yahuwah, judge judgment in the morning, and act rightly, and rescue the spoiled one from the hand of him that wrongs him, lest mine anger be kindled like fire, and it burn, and there be none to quench it. Behold, I am against thee that dwellest in the city of Sor, in the plain country, even against them that say, Who shall alarm us, or who shall enter into our habitation? And I will kindle a fire in the forest thereof, and it shall devour all things round about it. Aren't I reading till 21?
22.
Oh, okay. Thus saith Yahuwah, Go thou and go down to the house of the king of Judah, and thou shalt speak there this word. And thou shalt say, Hear the word of Yahuwah, O king of Judah, that sittest on the throne of David, thou and thy house and thy people, and they that go in at these gates. Thus saith Yahuwah, Execute ye judgment and justice, and rescue the spoiled out of the hand of him that wrongs him, and oppress not the stranger, and orphan, and widow, and sin not, and shed no innocent blood in this place. For if ye will indeed perform this word, then shall there enter in by the gates of this house kings sitting upon the throne of David, and riding on chariots and horses, they and their servants and their people. But if ye will not perform these words, by myself have I sworn, saith Yahuwah, that this house shall be brought to desolation. For thus saith Yahuwah concerning the house of the king of Judah, Thou art Galad to me, and the head of Lebanon. Yet surely I will make thee a desert, even cities that shall not be inhabited. And I will bring upon thee a destroying man and his axe, and they shall cut down thy choice cedars and cast them into the fire. And nations shall pass through the city, and each shall say to his neighbor, why has Yahuwah done thus to this great city? And they shall say, because they forsook the covenant of Yahuwah their Elohim, and worship strange mighty ones, and serve them. Weep not for the dead, nor lament for him. Weep bitterly for him that goes away, for he shall return no more, nor see his native land. For thus saith Yahuwah concerning Shalom, the son of Josiah, who reigns in the place of Josiah his father, who has gone forth out of this place, he shall not return thither any more. But in that place whither I have carried him captive, there shall he die, and shall see this land no more. And he that builds his house not with justice, and his upper chambers not with judgment, who works by means of his neighbor for nothing, and will by no means give him his reward. Thou hast built for thyself a well-proportioned house, airy chambers, fitted with windows, and wainscoted with cedar, and painted with vermilion. Shalt thou reign? Shalt thou reign? Because thou art provoked with thy father Ahaz. They shall not eat, and they shall not drink. It is better for thee to execute judgment and justice. They understood not, they judged not the cause of the afflicted, nor the cause of the poor. Is not this thy not knowing me? Saith Yahuwah. Behold, thine eyes are not good, nor thine heart, but they go after thy covetousness, and after the innocent blood to shed it, and after acts of injustice and slaughter to commit them. Therefore, thus saith Yahuwah concerning Joachim, son of Josiah, king of Judah, even concerning this man, they shall not bewail him, saying, Ah, brother, neither shall they at all weep for him, saying, Alas, Yahuwah. He shall be buried with the burial of an ass. He shall be dragged roughly along the cast outside the gate of Jerusalem. Go up to Libanus and cry, and utter thy voice to Basam, and cry aloud to the extremity of the sea, for all thy lovers are destroyed. I spoke to thee on occasion of thy trespass, but thou sayest, I will not hearken. This has been the way from thy youth. Thou hast not hearkened to my voice. The wind shall tend all thy shepherds, and thy lovers shall go into captivity. For then shalt thou be ashamed and disgraced because of all thy lovers. O thou that dwellest in Lebanon, making thy nest in the cedars, thou shalt groan heavily when pangs as of a travailing woman are come upon thee. As I live, saith Yahuwah, though Jehoias, son of Joachim, king of Judah, were indeed the seal upon my right hand, then will I pluck thee, and I will deliver thee into the hands of them that seek thy life, before whom thou art afraid, into the hands of the Chaldeans. And I will cast for thee and thy mother that bore thee into a land where thou wast not born, and there ye shall die. But they shall by no means return to the land which they long for in their souls. Jeconias is dishonored as a good for nothing vessel, for he is thrown out and cast forth into a land which he knew not. Land, land, hear the word of Yahuwah. Write ye this man an outcast, for they shall none of his seed at all grow up to sit on the throne of David, or as a prince yet in Judah.
Thank you, Sister Marissa. You did a great job.
Hey, Doug, I have a question.
Sure.
Okay, so you know how I believe it's in chapter 18, verse 8, it says that they will not utter the name of Yahuwah anymore. Do you think that's where the Jews got it? Because as I was reading it, it just sounded like, oh, I wonder if that's where they got that. Because, you know, there he says, I will no longer utter the name of Yahuwah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they would twist something like that to support their tradition. But I know there's other scriptures where Yahuwah says himself in prophecy, and I forget if it's in the book of Jeremiah. Maybe Brother Dennis could help me out with that. Where Yahuwah takes his name from his people. It says, because of the way it's been blasphemed among the Gentiles.
Right. Yeah. That's Jeremiah. He specifically says that in 44, verse 26.
Yeah, the verse I think Sister Marissa is talking about is Jeremiah himself is saying, I made a decision not to ever name the name of Yahuwah because he's just frustrated with all these prophets of Baal and these wicked people, and he it's almost like he's given up, but there's a fire inside of him that won't allow him to stop using Yahuwah's name. So let me go back to that scripture there, because it's actually the opposite. It's actually Yahuwah's not allowing him to stop using his name. Jeremiah wants to stop, but his flesh wants him to stop, but Yahuwah won't allow him. Let me see if I can find that. Jeremiah, what is it? Chapter 18 talks about
Check 19 to see also, Doug. I'm not sure. I was trying to write it down as I was reading.
the potter. This is the potter chapter. Okay. Come, let us devise.
That's the chapter where he was talking about how his mother, he wished that his mother did not bear him. It sounded just like Job too.
Yeah, so the Baal are being mentioned here. Flesh, daughters. Yeah. The easiest way to find it is for me just to search the phrase there's a fire. Let me see here. I can go on a search here. Jeremiah.
Are you talking about Yirmiyahu chapter 20, verse 9?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like he's saying, no longer will I name the name of the Lord. Name of
Yeah.
But let's see here. So it's verse 9, right? Yeah. Then I said, not Yahuwah, but he said, I will by no means name the name of Yahuwah. I will no more at all speak in his name or in his authority. But it was a burning fire flaming in my bones. and I am utterly weakened on all sides and cannot bear up. So basically, he wants to stop, preaching in Yahuwah's name and preaching in his authority and his power, but Yahuwah is not letting him. And so it's so yeah, the reason the Jewish people do it today has nothing to do with that verse or any verse you can find in the Bible. It has a lot to do with their Talmudic tradition and what the Masoretes wrote in their own books. One of the tradition of the elders that Yahusha hated, and that's why he didn't hold to the tradition of the elders like the Pharisees did, is that they believed that Yahuwah's name was too sacred to be uttered. And they actually taught a distorted view of the commandment of not taking his name in vain. They taught a distorted interpretation that if you speak his name, you're taking it in vain or whatever,
Yeah.
So that's a lot. That has a lot to do with Phariseeism and Sadduceeism and modern day Judaism. Doesn't have anything to do with the Bible, because they're pretty much it. They're pretty much going by the Talmud with that. But yeah, Yahuwah did eventually take his name from his people for a time when they were in captivity. What you said, Dennis, that cross references Jeremiah 44.
Yeah, 44:26, because he told them not to go back to Mitzrayim or Egypt, and they went ahead and did that.
Oh, yeah. So that's after this point, chronologically. They instead of choosing life, which Sister Marissa just read about, they chose death, and they wanted to go back to Egypt. They chose to go back to Egypt. Yeah,
that's it.
Yep, right here. Therefore, hear ye the word of Yahuwah, all Judeans dwelling in the land of Egypt. Behold, I have sworn by my great name, says Yahuwah. My name shall no longer be in the mouth of every Judean to say, Yahuwah lives in all the land of Egypt. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I hope that clears that up. Let's see. We got a couple people with raised hands. I'm gonna go. I couldn't really tell whose hand was up first. Gibson's. Go ahead.
All right, so I got something nifty, and we sort of passed by it, but I'd like to draw attention, if I might, to I'm in the Septuagint, chapter 21 that we just read, verse 24 to 29. Okay, when you get to verse 29, verse 24 through is summed up like this: Hear the word of Yah. Write ye this man an outcast, for there shall none of his seed at all grow up to sit down on the throne of David, or as a prince yet in Judah. Right? And this man they're talking about is named Jeconias, right? Jeconias in verse 24 is the one they're talking about. Now I'd like to switch your attention to Matthew chapter 1, verse 11, and you're going to find out that Jeconias is actually a forefather of Joseph, husband of Miriam. Okay? Matthew 1, verse 11. Okay, you see Jeconias right there?
Mm-hmm.
And Josias beget Jeconias, all right? And if you follow that down about 17 generations, you're going to land on Joseph. Okay? So, the reason I bring this up is because in various versions like the JPS Tanakh and I want to say TS 2009, there is a movement or there is an effort to write the word maiden instead of the word virgin, right? For the description of Miriam. And the reason that they do this is because if it is Joseph's son, human son, and not Yahuwah's son, then this promise in verse 29 to cut off all of this man's, Jeconiah's ancestors, from ever possibly sitting on the throne would transfer to Yahusha, right? But he was not born of Joseph, and it circumvented that. He was only born of Miriam. Not only that, but that actually takes care of a couple prophecies. And by switching one word and not allowing him to be born of a virgin, like in Genesis 3, the seed of woman, right? That prophecy doesn't come true with him, and it disqualifies him if the word is not virgin and the word is just young woman there, like they change it to, making him a fleshly child of Joseph. It also disqualifies this person from ever being king, which would then create a domino effect of the prophecies of Daniel, where he's sitting on the throne, right? And so with one little word, they do so much to disqualify Yahusha from being who he is, from being the one spoken about. So I found that out a long time ago, this Jeconiah's thing, that if he were Joseph's son, he'd be disqualified from ever being a king anyway, you know?
Yeah, and it would completely disqualify him to piggyback off of your point of Daniel 7:13. It will also disqualify him of the title of the Son of Man, because that Son of Man title is actually the title of the Cloud Rider. One word. So basically, he wouldn't be a pre-existent being anymore. He couldn't claim to be the Son of Man who was with the Ancient of Days from the beginning. And so that's definitely intentional by them. And that's probably why they hated it every time he said he referred to himself as the Son of Man more times than he called himself the Messiah. And I think there's a reason behind that. He pretty much was trying to, get it through their heads. And they didn't like it at all. They thought it was blasphemy for him to call himself, basically the Cloud Rider. But yeah, that's a great catch though. The combination of the curse of Jeconiah with the genealogy of Yahusha in Matthew 1. That's a really great catch. Wow. Wow. Let's see here. I think we have someone else with a hand up. Brother Joshua, do you have anything you want to say?
Yeah, just a real quick cross reference between so Jeremiah 21 or 22, starting in verse 7, it says, and I will bring a destroyer and his axe against you, and they will cut down your choice cedars and cast them into the fire. You can find that in Matthew 3, verse 10, when Yahusha, or is this Yahusha or is this John? This is John saying this. And now also the axe is laid unto the root of the trees. Therefore, every tree which bringeth not forth good fruit is hewn down and cast into the fire. A little bit worded different, but same concept.
That's an interesting connection there. Wow. Nice. All right. So I made a little typo before. So Sister Zakiah, you actually have 23 to 26. So yeah, I don't know why I both had 22 for you and Marissa. That was just a stupid mistake of mine. So this Sister Zakiah is going to be reading next chapters 23 to 26. And so, all right,
Let me know when you're ready for me.
I'm ready.
Okay.
She's reading from the ISR from the
Yeah.
scriptures, or not the scripture. Yeah.
Woe to the shepherds, destroying and scattering the sheep of my pasture, declares Yahuwah. Therefore, thus said Yahuwah, Eloah of Yasharal, against the shepherds who feed my people. You have scattered my flock, driven them away, and have not tended to them. See, I am pushing you for the evil of your deeds, declares Yahuwah. Or punishing, not pushing. Sorry. Therefore, I shall gather the remnant of my flock out of all the lands where I have driven them, and shall bring them back to their fold, and they shall bear and increase. And I shall raise up shepherds over them, and they shall feed them, and they shall fear no more, nor be discouraged, nor shall they be lacking, declares Yahuwah. See, the days are coming, declares Yahuwah, when I shall rise for David, a branch of righteousness, and a sovereign shall reign and act wisely, and shall do right ruling and righteousness in the earth. In his days, Yehudah shall be saved, and Yasharal dwell safely. And this is his name, whereby he shall be called, Yahuwah our righteousness. Therefore, see, the days are coming, declares Yahuwah, when they shall say no more, as Yahuwah lives, who brought up the children of Yasharal out of the land of Mitzrayim. But as Yahuwah lives, who brought up and led the seed of the house of Yasharal out of the land of the north, and from the lands where I have driven them, and they shall dwell in their own soil. My heart within me is broken because of the prophets. All my bones shake. I am like a drunken man, and I like a man overcome by wine, because of Yahuwah and because of his set apart words. For the land is filled with adulterers. The land mourns because of a curse. The pastures of the wilderness are dried up, and their course is evil, and their might is not right. For both prophet and priest have become defiled. Even in my house I have found evil, declares Yahuwah. Therefore, their way is to them like slippery ways in the dark. They are driven on, and they shall fall in them. For I bring evil on them, the year of their punishment, declares Yahuwah. And I have seen folly in the prophets of Shemaraim. They prophesied by Baal, and led my people, Yasharal, astray. And among the prophets of Yasharalim, I have seen a horrible matter, committing adultery and walking in falsehood. And I straighten the hands of the evil ones, so that no one turns back from his evil. All of them are like Sodom to me, and their inhabitants like Amorah. Therefore, says Yahuwah of hosts concerning the prophets, see, I am making them eat wormwood, and shall make them drink poison water. For defilement has gone out unto all the land from the prophets of Yerushalayim. Thus says Yahuwah of hosts, do not listen to the words of the prophets who prophesy to you. They lead you astray. They speak a vision of their own heart, not from the mouth of Yahuwah. They keep on saying to those who despise me, Yahuwah has said you shall have peace. And to all who walk according to the stubbornness of their own heart, they shall say no evil come upon you. For who has stood in the counsel of Yahuwah, and has seen and heard his word? Who has listened to his word and obeyed it? See, a storm of Yahuwah shall go forth in a rage, a whirling storm. It whirls on the head of the wrong. The displeasure of Yahuwah shall not turn back until he has done and established the purposes of his heart. In the latter days you shall understand it perfectly. I did not send these prophets, yet they ran. I have not spoken to them, yet they prophesied. But if they had stood in my counsel, then they would have let my people hear my words, and they would have turned them from the evil way and from the evil of their deeds. Am I an Eloah close by, declares Yahuwah, and not an Eloah far off? If anyone is hidden in secret places, would I not see him? Declares Yahuwah. And do I not fill the heavens and earth? Declares Yahuwah. I have heard what the prophets have said who prophesy falsehood in my name, saying, I have dreamed. Till when shall it be in the heart of the prophets of falsehood and prophets of the deceit of their own heart, who try to make my people forget my name by their dreams which everyone relates to his neighbor, as their fathers forget my name for Baal. The prophet who has a dream, let him relate the dream. And he who has my word, let him speak my word in truth. What is the chaff to the wheat, declares Yahuwah? Is not my word like a fire, declares Yahuwah, and like a hammer that shatters a rock? Therefore, see, I am against the prophets, declare Yahuwah, who steal my words, every one from his neighbor. See, I am against the prophets, declare Yahuwah, who use their tongues and say, he declares. See, I am against those who prophesy false dreams, declare Yahuwah, and relate them and lead my people astray by their falsehoods and their reckless boasting. But I myself did not send them, nor have I commanded them, and they did not profit these people at all, declares Yahuwah. And when these people, or the prophet, or the priest ask you, saying, what is the message of Yahuwah? Then you shall say to them, what message? I shall forsake you, declares Yahuwah. As for the prophet and the priest and the people who say, the message of Yahuwah, I shall punish that man in his house. This is what each one says to his neighbor, and each one to his brother. What has Yahuwah answered, and what has Yahuwah spoken? But the message of Yahuwah you no longer remember, for every man's message is his own word. For you have changed the words of the living Eloah. Yahuwah of hosts, our Eloah. This is what you say to the prophet. What has Yahuwah answered you? And what has Yahuwah spoken? But since you say the message of Yahuwah, therefore thus said Yahuwah, because you say this word, the message of Yahuwah, I have not sent you, saying, do not say the message of Yahuwah. Therefore, see, I shall utterly forget you and cast you away from my presence, along with the cities that I gave you and your fathers. And I shall put an everlasting reproach on you, and an everlasting shame that is not forgotten. 24. Yahuwah showed me, and look, there were 2 baskets, figs set before, what is that word? Heckle?
Oh, is it like call? High place?
It's a heckle.
I can't see it.
Yeah. Hekal. Yeah.
Yeah,
Heckle?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It's like high place, right?
Like
Or is that
mountain.
Oh, it's a mountain.
Okay.
Okay.
A mountain of Yahuwah. After, another one.
Which one?
This one.
Nebuchadrezzar.
Nebuchadnezzar.
Nebuchadnezzar. Yeah.
Okay.
The king.
Son of Jehoiakim, sovereign of Yehudah, and the heads of Yehudah, with the craftsmen and smiths from Jerusalem, and had brought them to Babel. One basket had very good figs, like the figs that are the first ripe, and the other basket had very spoiled figs, which could not be eaten, and they were so spoiled. And Yahuwah said to me, what do you see, Yirmiyahu? And I said, figs, the good figs, very good, and the spoiled, very spoiled, which could not be eaten. They are so spoiled. Again, the word of Yahuwah came to me, saying, thus said Yahuwah, the Eloah of Yasharal, like these good figs, so do I acknowledge the exiles of Yehuda, whom I have sent out of this place for their own good into the land of the Kedishim. Kedishim?
Kodashim.
Kodashim.
Is that what it says?
It's Kashdim or something.
Oh, yeah.
And I shall set my eyes on them for good, and I shall bring them back to this land, and I shall build them and not pull them down, and I shall plant them and not pluck them up, and I shall give them a heart to know me, that I am Yahuwah, and they shall be my people, and I shall be their Eloah. For they shall turn back to me with all their heart, and as the spoiled figs that could not be eaten because they were so spoiled, for thus said Yahuwah, so do I give up. Oh man, that's that big word again.
You know what? Just nobody gets it right. Just say it fast and own it.
Yahoo!
Boom. And keep going like you never said it. Perfect.
The sovereign of Yehuda, his head, the rest of Yerushalayim who remained in the land, and those who dwell in the land of Mitzrayim. And I shall make them a horror to all the reigns of the earth, for evil to be a reproach, and a byword and a mockery, and a curse in all the places which I drive them. And I shall send the sword, the Sikar of food, and the pestilence among them, till they are consumed from the land that I have given them to their fathers. Is it you next, Doug?
You're doing great, babe. All right, where are we at now?
25.
Okay. Okay, chapter 25, and I'm going to 31. Okay. The word that came to Jeremiah concerning all the people. Oh, by the way, I'm reading out of the Septuagint, the Brenton Septuagint, paper copy here. The word that came to Jeremiah concerning all the people of Judah in the 4th year of Joachim, son of Josiah, king of Judah, which he spoke to all the people of Judah and to the inhabitants of Jerusalem, saying, in the 13th year of Josiah, son of Amos, king of Judah, even until this day, for 23 years, I have both spoken to you, rising early and speaking, and I sent to you my servants, the prophets, sending them early, but you hearken not and listen not with your ears, saying, turn ye every one from his evil way and from your evil practices, and you shall dwell in the land which I gave to you and your fathers of old and forever. Go ye not after strange gods to serve them and to worship them, that you provoke me not by the works of your hands to do you hurt. But you hearken not to me. Therefore, thus saith Yah, since you believe not my words, behold, I will send and take a family from the north, and I will bring them against this land, and against the inhabitants of it, and against all the nations round about it. And I will make them utterly waste, and make them a desolation, and a hissing, and everlasting reproach. I will destroy from among them the voice of joy, and the voice of gladness, and the voice of the bridegroom, and the voice of the bride, the scent of ointment, and the light of the candle. And all the land will be a desolation, and they shall serve among the Gentiles 70 years. And when the 70 years are fulfilled, I will take vengeance on that nation, and I will make them a perpetual desolation. And I will bring upon that land all my words which I have spoken against it, even all the things that are written in this book, the prophecies of Jeremiah against the nations of, mine says Elam, but it has a really funny looking hay at the front of it. Thus saith Yah, the bow of Elam is broken, even the chief of their power, and I will bring upon Elam the 4 winds from the 4 corners of heaven, and I will disperse them toward all these winds, and there shall be no nation to which they shall not come, even the outcasts of Elam, and I will put them in fear before their enemies that seek their life, and I will bring evils upon them according to my great anger. And I will send forth my sword after them until I have utterly destroyed them. And I will set my throne in Elam, and will send forth thence king and rulers. But it shall come to pass at the end of days that I will turn the captivity of Elam, saith Yah. Chapter 26. In the beginning of the reign of King, was that Zedekiah? There came this word concerning Elam. For Egypt against the power of Pharaoh, Necho, king of Egypt, who was by the river Euphrates in Charmis, whom Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, smote in the 4th year of Joachim, king of Judah. Take up arms and spears and draw nigh to battle. Harness the horses, mount, ye horsemen, and stand ready in your helmets. Advance the spears and put on your breastplates. What do they fear and turn? Why do they fear and turn back? Even because their mighty men shall be slain. They have utterly fled and become hemmed in. They have not rallied, saith Yahuwah. Let not the swift flee, and let not the mighty man escape to the north. The forces at Euphrates are become feeble, and they have fallen. Who is this that shall come up as a river, and as rivers roll their waves? The waters of Egypt shall come up like a river. And he said, I will go up, and I will cover the earth, and I will destroy the dwellers in it. Mount ye the horses, prepare the chariots, go forth, ye warriors of the Ethiopians and Libyans armed with shields, and mounts, ye Lydians, bend the bow. And that day shall be to Yahuwah our Elohim a day of vengeance, to take vengeance on his enemies. And the sword of Yah shall devour and be glutted. I've heard that one. And shall be glutted and be drunken with their blood. For Yah has a sacrifice from the land of the north at the river Euphrates. Go up to Gilead. I'm not sure how to say that. No. Go up to I don't know how. Gilead. I'll just own it. There you go. And take balm for the virgin daughter of Egypt. In vain hast thou multiplied thy medicines. There is no help in thee. The nations have heard thy voice, and the land has been filled with thy cry. For the warriors have fainted, fighting one another, and both are fallen together. The words which the Lord spoke by Jeremiah concerning the coming of the king of Babylon to smite the land of Egypt. Proclaim it at Magdal and declare it at Memphis. Say ye, stand up and prepare, for the sword has devoured the yew tree. Wherefore has Apis fled from thee? Thy choice calf has not remained, for Yah has utterly weakened him. And thy multitude has fainted and fallen, and each one said to his neighbor, let us arise and return to our country, into our country, to our people, from the Grecian sword. Call ye the name of Pharaoh, Necho, king of Egypt, Seon Esbimoed. Well, all right then. As I live, saith Yah, he shall come as Edebrian among the mountains, and as Carmel that is on the sea. O daughter of Egypt, dwelling at home, prepare thee stuff for removing. For Memphis shall be utterly desolate, and shall be called woe, because there is no inhabitants in it. Egypt is a fair heifer, but destruction from the north is come upon her. Also, her hired soldiers in the midst of her are as fatted calves fed in her, for they also have turned and fled with one accord. They stood not, for the day of destruction was come upon them, and the time of their retribution. Their voice is as that of a hissing serpent, for they go upon the sand, and they shall come upon Egypt with axes as men that cut wood. They shall cut down her forest. Oh my. In Egypt. They shall cut down her forest, saith Yah. For their number cannot at all be conjectured, for it exceeds the locust in multitude. and they are innumerable. The daughter of Egypt is confounded. She is delivered into the hands of a people from the north. Behold, I will avenge Ammon, her son, upon Pharaoh, and upon them that trust in him. But fear not thou, my servant Jacob, neither be thou alarmed, Israel. For behold, I will save thee from afar off, and thy seed from their captivity. And Jacob shall return, and be at ease, and sleep, and there shall be no one to trouble him. Fear not thou, my servant Jacob, saith Yah, for I am with thee. She that was without fear and in luxury has been delivered up, for I will make a full end of every nation among whom I have thrust thee forth. But I will not cause thee to fail. Yet I will chastise thee in the way of judgment, and will not hold thee entirely guiltless. Chapter 27. The word of Yah which he spoke against Babylon. Proclaim ye among the Gentiles, and cause the tidings to be heard, and suppress them not. Say ye, Babylon is taken, Belus is confounded, the fearless, the luxurious Merodach is delivered up. For a nation has come up against her from the north. He shall utterly ravage her land, and there shall be none to dwell in it, neither man nor beast. In those days, and at that time, the children of Israel shall come, they and the children of Judah together. They shall proceed weeping as they go, seeking Yahuwah their Elohim. And they shall ask the way till they come to Sion. For that way shall they set their face. And they shall come and flee for refuge to Yahuwah their Elohim, for the everlasting covenant shall not be forgotten. My people have been lost sheep. Their shepherds thrust them out. They caused them to wander on the mountains. They went from mountain to hill. They forgot their resting place. All that found them consumed them. Their enemies said, let us not leave them alone, because they have sinned against Yah. He that gathered their fathers had a pasture of righteousness. Flee ye out of the midst of Babylon, and from the land of the Chaldeans, and go forth, and be as serpents before sleep. For behold, I stir up against Babylon the gatherings of nations out of the land of the north, and they shall set themselves in array against her. Thence shall she be taken, as the dart of an expert warrior shall not return empty. And Chaldea shall be a spoil. All that spoil her shall be satisfied. Because you rejoiced and boasted while plundering mine heritage, because ye exulted as calves in the grass, and pushed with the horn as bulls, your mother is greatly ashamed. Your mother that bore you for prosperity is confounded. She is the last of the nations, desolate, by reason of Yah's anger. It shall not be inhabited, but it shall be all a desolation. For everyone that passes through Babylon shall scowl, and they shall hiss at her plague. Set yourselves in array against Babylon round about, all ye that bend the bow. Shoot at her, spare not your arrows, and prevail against her. Her hands are weakened, her bulwarks are fallen, and her wall is broken down. For it is vengeance from Yah. Take vengeance upon her, and she has done due to her. Utterly destroy seed out of Babylon, and him that holds a sickle in the time of harvest. For fear of the Grecian sword, they shall return every one to his people, and every one shall flee to his own land. Israel is a wandering sheep. The lions have driven him out. The king of Assyria first devoured him, and afterward the king of Babylon has gnawed his bones. Therefore, thus saith Yah, behold, I will take vengeance on the king of Babylon and upon his land, as I took vengeance on the king of Assyria. And I will restore Israel to his pasture, and I shall feed on Carmel and on Mount Ephraim and in Galaad, and his soul shall be satisfied. In those days and at that time, they shall seek for the iniquity of Israel, and there shall be none, and for the sins of Judah, and they shall not be found. For I will be merciful to them that are left on the land, saith Yah. Go up against it roughly, and against them that dwell on it, Avenge, O sword, and destroy utterly, saith Yah, and do according all that I command thee. A sound of war and a great destruction in the land of the Chaldeans. How is the hammer of the whole earth broken and crushed? How is Babylon become a desolation among the nations? They shall come upon thee, and thou shalt not know it, Babylon, that thou wilt even be taken captive. Thou art found and taken, because thou did resist Yah. Yahuwah has opened his treasury and brought forth the weapons of his anger. For Yah has a work in the land of the Chaldeans. For her times are come. Upon ye her storehouses search her as a cave, and utterly destroy her. Let there be no remnant of her. Dry ye up all her fruits, and let them go down to the slaughter. Woe to them! For their day is come, and the time of their retribution. A voice of men fleeing and escaping from the land of Babylon, to declare to Sion the vengeance that comes from Yah our Elohim. Summon many against Babylon, even everyone that bends the bow. Camp against her round about. Let no one of her people escape. Render to her according to her works, according to all that she has done. Do to her. I feel like I just read this. For she has resisted Yah, the Holy One of Israel, the Holy Mighty One of Israel. Therefore shall her young men fall in the streets, and all her warriors shall be cast down. Behold, I am against the haughty one, saith Yah, for thy days are come, and the time of thy retribution, and thy pride shall fail and fall, and there shall be no one to set it up again. And I will kindle a fire in her forest, and it shall devour all things round about her. Thus saith Yah, the children of Israel and the children of Judah have been oppressed. All they that have taken them captive have oppressed them together, for they would not let them go. They that have taken them captive. Oh, I just read that. But the Redeemer is strong. Yahuwah Almighty is his name. He will enter into judgment with his adversaries, that he may destroy the earth. And he will sharpen a sword against the Chaldeans and against the inhabitants of Babylon, and upon her nobles and upon her wise men, a sword upon her warriors. And they shall be weakened, a sword upon their horses and upon their chariots, a sword upon their warriors and upon the mixed people in the midst of her. And they shall be as women, a sword upon the treasures, and they shall be scattered upon her water. They shall be ashamed, for it is a land of graven images, and in the islands where they boasted. Therefore shall idols dwell in the islands, and the young of the monsters shall dwell in it. It shall not be inhabited any more forever, as Yah overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah, and the cities bordering upon them. Saith Yah, no man shall dwell there, and no son of man shall sojourn there. Behold, a people comes from the north, a great nation, and many kings shall be stirred up from the ends of the earth, holding bow and dagger. The people is fierce and will have no mercy. Their voices shall sound as the sea, and they shall ride upon horses prepared for war, like fire against thee, O daughter of Babylon. The king of Babylon heard the sound of them, and his hands were enfeebled. Anguish overcame him, pangs of a woman in travail. Behold, he shall come up as a lion from Jordan to Gethin, for I will speedily drive them from her, and I will set all the youths against her. For who is like me, and who will resist me? And who is the shepherd who will stand before me? Therefore, hear ye the counsel of Yah, which you have taken against Babylon, which he has taken against Babylon, and his devices, which he has devised upon the Chaldeans inhabiting it. Surely lambs of their flock shall be destroyed. Surely pasture shall be cut off from them. For at the sound of the taking of Babylon, the earth shall quake, and a cry shall be heard among the nations. Nice. This sounds a little bit like Revelation. Let's go back to chapter 28. Thus saith Yah, behold, I stir up against Babylon and against the Chaldeans dwelling therein a deadly burning wind. And I shall send forth against Babylon spoilers, and they shall spoil her and shall ravage her land. Woe to Babylon round about her in the day of her affliction. Let the archer bend his bow, and him that has armor put it on. And spare ye not her young men, but destroy ye all her host. And slain men shall fall in the land of the Chaldeans, and men pierced through shall fall without it. For Israel and Judah have not been forsaken by their mighty one, Yahuwah Almighty, whereas their land was filled with iniquity against the holy things of Yasharal. Flee ye out of the midst of Babylon, and deliver every one his soul, and be not overthrown in her iniquity. For it is the time of her retribution from Yah. He is rendering to her a recompense. Babylon has been a golden cup in Yah's hand, causing all the earth to be drunken. Yeah, bro, it's just like Revelation. The nations have drunk of her wine, therefore they were shaken, and Babylon is fallen suddenly and is broken to pieces. Lament for her, take balm for her deadly wound, if by any means she may be healed. We tried to heal Babylon, but she was not healed. Let us forsake her and depart every one to his own country. For her judgment has reached to the heaven, it is mounted up to the stars. Yah has brought forth his judgment. Come and let us declare in Sion the works of Yahuwah our mighty one. Prepare the arrows, fill the quivers. Yah has stirred up the spirit of the king of the Medes, for his wrath is against Babylon, to destroy it utterly. For it is Yah's vengeance. It is the vengeance of his people. Lift up a standard on the walls of Babylon. Prepare the quivers, rouse the guards, prepare the weapons, for Yah has taken the work in hand and will execute what he has spoken against the inhabitants of Babylon. Dwelling on many waters and amidst the abundance of her treasures, thine end is come verily into thy bowels. For Yah has sworn by his arm, saying, I will fill thee with men as with locusts, and they that come down shall cry against thee. And Yah made the earth by his power, preparing the world by his wisdom, by his understanding he stretched out the heaven. At his voice he makes a sound of water in the heaven, and brings up clouds from the extremity of the earth. He makes lightnings for rain, and brings light out of his treasures. Every man has completely lost understanding. Every goldsmith is confounded because of his graven image. For they have cast false gods. There is no breath in them. They are vain because they are vain works, objects of scorn. In the time of their visitation they shall perish. Not such is Jacob's portion. For he that is formed all things, he is his inheritance, and Yahuwah is his name. Thou scatterest for me the weapons of war, and I will scatter nations by thee, and I will destroy kings by means of thee. And by thee I will scatter the horse and his rider, and by thee I will scatter chariots and them that ride in them. And by thee I will scatter youth and maid, and by thee I will scatter man and woman. And by thee I will scatter the shepherd and his flock, and by thee I will scatter the husbandman and his husbandry. And by thee I will scatter leaders and the captains, and I will recompense to Babylon and to all the Chaldeans that dwell there all their mischiefs that they have done to Sion before your eyes, saith Yah. Behold, I am against thee. I ruined the ruined mountain that destroys the whole earth, and I will stretch out my hand upon thee, and I will roll thee down upon the rocks. I will make thee as a burnt mountain. Then they shall not take from thee a stone for a corner, nor a stone for a foundation. For there shall be desolation forever, saith Yah. Lift up a standard in the land. Sound the trumpets among the nations. Consecrate the nations against her. Raise up the kings against her by me. And that for the people of Achanaz set against her engines of war. Bring up against her horses as a multitude of locusts. Bring up nations against her. even the king of the Medes and the whole earth, his rulers and all his captains. The earth has quaked and been troubled because of the purpose of Yah has risen up against Babylon, to make the land of Babylon a desolation and uninhabitable. The warrior of Babylon has failed to fight, and they shall sit there in the siege. Their power is broken. They are become like women. Her tabernacles have been set on fire. Her bars are broken. One shall rush running to meet another runner, and one shall go with tidings to meet another with tidings, to bring tidings to the king of Babylon, that his city is taken. At the end of his passages they were taken, and his cisterns they were burnt with fire, and his warriors are going forth. For thus says Yah, the house of the king of Babylon shall be threshed as a floor in season, yet a little while, and her harvest shall come. He has devoured me, he has torn me asunder. Airy darkness has come upon me. Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, has swallowed me up. As a dragon has he filled his belly with my delicacies. My troubles and my distresses have driven me out into Babylon. Shall she that dwells in Zion say, and my blood shall be upon the Chaldeans dwelling there? Shall Jerusalem say? Man, some of these are hard. Okay. Therefore, thus saith Yah, behold, I will judge thine adversary, and I will execute vengeance for thee, and I will waste her sea and dry up her fountain, and Babylon shall be a desolation and shall not be inhabited. For they rose up together as lions, and as lions whelps. In their heat I will give them a drought and make them drunk, that they may be stupefied and sleep an everlasting sleep and not awake, saith Yah. Then bring thou them down as lambs to the slaughter and rams with kids. How has the boast of all the earth been taken and caught in a snare? How has Babylon become a desolation among the nations? The sea has come up upon Babylon with the sound of its waves, and she is covered. Her cities are become like a dry and trackless land. Not so much as one man shall dwell in it, neither shall a son of man lodge in it. And I will take vengeance on Babylon and bring forth out of her mouth what she has swallowed down, and the nations shall no more be gathered to her. 45 through 48 are omitted, and in or at least they didn't exist then, one way or the other. And in Babylon the slain men of all the earth shall fall. Go forth of the land, ye that escape, and stay not. Ye that are afar off, remember Yah, and let Jerusalem come into your mind. We are ashamed because we have heard our reproach. Disgrace has covered our face. Aliens are come into our sanctuary, even into the house of Yah. Therefore, behold, the days come, saith Yah, when I will take vengeance upon her graven images. The slain men shall fall in her land, in her land. For through Babylon should go up as the heaven, and though she should strengthen her walls with her power, from me shall come that shall destroy her, saith Yah. A sound of a cry in Babylon, and great destruction in the land of the Chaldeans. For Yah has utterly destroyed Babylon, and cut off from her the great voice, sounding as many waters. He has consigned her voice to destruction, for distress has come upon Babylon. Her warriors are taken, their bows are useless, for Yah recompenses them. Yah recompenses and will make her leaders and her wise men and her captains completely drunk, saith the King. Yah Almighty is his name. Thus saith Yah, the wall of Babylon was made broad, but it shall be completely broken down, and her high gates shall be burnt with fire, and the people shall not labor in vain, nor the nations fail in their rule. The word which Yah commanded the prophet Jeremiah to say to Sarius, son of Nereus, son of Messias, when he went from Zedekiah, king of Judah, to Babylon in the 4th year of his reign. And Sarius was over the bounties. And Jeremiah wrote in a book all the evils which should come upon Babylon. even all these words which are written against Babylon. And Jeremiah said to Cyrus, when thou art come to Babylon, thou shalt see and read all these words. Then thou wilt say, Yahuwah, thou hast spoken against this place to destroy it, and that there should be none to dwell in it, neither man nor beast, for it shall be a desolation forever. And it shall come to pass, when thou shalt cease from reading this book, that thou shalt bind a stone upon it, and cast it into the midst of the Euphrates, and shall say, thus shall Babylon sink and not rise, because of the evils which I bring upon it. Chapter 29. Thus saith Yahuwah against the Philistines, behold, waters come up from the north, and shall become a sweeping torrent, and it shall sweep away the land and its fullness, the city and them that dwell in it. And men shall cry, and all that dwell in the land shall howl, at the sounding of his rushing, at the sound of his hooves, and at the rattling of his chariots, and at the noise of his wheels. The fathers turn not to their children because of the weakness of their hands. In the day that the coming to destroy all the Philistines, and I will utterly destroy Tyre and Sidon, and all the rest of their allies. For Yah will destroy the remaining inhabitants of the islands. Baldness has come upon Gaza. Askelon is cast away in the remnant of Anakim. How long wilt thou smite, O sword of Yah? How long will it be ere thou art quiet? Return into thy sheath, rest, and be removed. How shall it be quiet, whereas Yah has given it a commission against Askelon and against the regions of the seacoast to awake against the remaining countries? Concerning Idumea, thus saith Yah, there is no longer wisdom in Teman. Counsel has perished from the wise ones. Their wisdom is gone. Their place has been deceived. Dig deep for a dwelling, ye that inhabit Datum. For he has wrought grievously. I brought trouble upon him in the time at which I visited him. For great gatherers are come, who shall not leave thee a remnant. As thieves by night, they shall lay their hand upon thy possessions. For I have stripped Esau, I have uncovered their secret places. They shall have no power to hide themselves. They shall have perished each by the hand of his brother, my neighbor, and it is impossible. What? By each of his brother, my neighbor, and it is impossible. Oh, it is impossible for thy fatherless one to be left to live, but I shall live, and the widows trust in me. For thus saith Yahuwah, they who were not appointed to drink the cup have drunk it, and thou shalt by no means be cleared. For by myself I have sworn, saith Yah, that thou shalt be in the midst of her an impassable land, and a reproach and a curse, and all her cities shall be a desert forever. I have heard a report from Yah that he has sent messengers to the nations, saying, assemble yourselves and come against her. Rise ye up to war. I have made thee small among the nations, utterly contemptible among men. Thine insolence has risen up against thee. The fierceness of thine heart has burst the holes of the rocks. It has seized upon the strength of the lofty hill. For as an eagle has set his nest on high, thence will I bring thee down. And Idumea shall be a desert. Every one that passes by shall hiss at it. As Sodom was overthrown, and Gomorrah, and they that sojourned in her, saith Yah Almighty, no man shall dwell there, nor shall thy son of man inhabit there. Behold, he shall come up as a lion out of the midst of Jordan to the place of Etham, for I will speedily drive them from it. And do ye set the young men against her? For who is like me? And who will withstand me? And who is this shepherd who will confront me? Therefore, hear ye the counsel of Yah, which he has framed against Idumea, and his device, which he has devised against the inhabitants of Teman. Surely the least of the sheep shall be swept off. Surely their dwelling shall be made desolate for them. For at the sound of their fall, the earth was scared, and the cry of the sea was not heard. Behold, he shall look upon her as an eagle, and spread forth his wings over her strongholds. And the heart of the mighty men of Idumea shall be in that day as the heart of a woman in her pangs. Chapter 30. concerning the sons of Ammon. Thus saith Yah, there are no sons. Are there no sons in Israel, or have there no one to succeed them? Wherefore has Malchol inherited Galaad, and why shall their people dwell in their cities? Therefore, behold, the days come, saith Yah, when I will cause to be heard in Rabbah a tumult of wars, and they shall become a waste and a ruined place, and her altars shall be burned with fire, and then shall Yashral succeed to his dominion. Howl, O Esbon, for Guy has perished. Cry, ye daughters of Rabbah, gird yourselves with sackcloths and lament, for Melchol shall go into banishment, his priests and his princes together. Why do you exult in the plains of Anakim, thou haughty daughter, that trusted in thy treasures, that sayest, who shall come into me? Behold, I will bring terror upon thee, saith Yah, from all the country round about thee, and ye shall be scattered, everyone right before him, and there is none to gather you. Concerning Kedar, the queen of the palace, whom Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon smote. Thus saith Yah, arise ye and go up to Kedar, and fill the sons of Kedem. They shall take their tents and their sheep, and they shall take for themselves their garments, and all their baggage and their camels, and summon ye destruction against them from every side. Flee ye, dig very deep for a dwelling place, ye that dwell in the palace. For the king of Babylon has framed a counsel, and devised a device against you. Rise up and go up against the nations settled and dwelling at ease, who have no doors, nor bolts, nor bars, who dwell alone. And their camels shall be a spoil, and the multitude of their cattle shall be destroyed. And I will scatter them as chaff with every wind, having their hair cut about their foreheads. I will bring on their overthrow from all sides. And the palace shall be a resting place for ostriches, and desolate forever. No man shall abide there, and no son of man shall dwell there. Concerning Damascus, Emeth is brought to shame, and Arphath, for they have heard an evil report. They are amazed, they are angry, they shall be utterly unable to rest. Damascus is utterly weakened. She is put to flight. Trembling has seized upon her. How has she not left my city? They have loved the village. How has she not left my city? They have loved the village. Question. Sorry, some of these are worded a little bit differently than I'm used to. Therefore shall the young men fall in thy streets, and all thy warriors shall fall, saith Yah. And I will kindle a fire in the wall of Damascus, and it shall devour the streets of the son of Ader. Chapter 31. Thus saith Yahuwah concerning Moab, woe to Nabal, for it has perished. Kerethaim has taken, Hamath and Agath are put to shame. There is no longer any healing for Moab, nor glorying in Esbon. He has devised evils against her. We have cut her off from being a nation, and she shall be completely still. After these shall go a sword. For there is a voice of men crying out in Or-name, destruction and great ruin. Moab is ruined. Proclaim to Zagorah, for Aloth is filled with weeping. One shall go up weeping by the way of Or-name. You have heard a cry of destruction. Flee ye and save your lives, and you shall be as wild asses in the desert, since thou hast trusted in thy stronghold. Therefore thou shalt be taken. And Chemos shall go forth into captivity, and his priests and his princes together, and destruction shall come upon every city. It shall by no means escape. The valley also shall perish, and the plain country shall be completely destroyed. And Yah has said, set marks upon Moab, for she shall be touched with a plague spot, and all her cities shall become desolate. Whence shall there be an inhabitant for her? Cursed is the man that does the works of Yah carelessly, keeping back his sword from blood. Shoo-wee. Moab has been at ease from a child, and trusted in his glory. He has not poured out his liquor from vessel to vessel, and has not gone into banishment. Therefore his taste remained in him, and his smell departed not. Therefore, behold, his days come, saith Yah, when I shall send upon him bad leaders, and they shall lead him astray, and they shall utterly break in pieces his possessions, and shall cut his horns asunder. And Moab shall be ashamed in Chamos, as the house of Israel was ashamed of Bethel, their hope, having trusted in them. How will you say, we are strong, and men strong for war? Moab is ruined, even his city and his choice young men have gone down to slaughter. The day of Moab is near at hand, and his iniquity moves swiftly to vengeance. Shake the head at him, all ye that are round about him. All of you utter his name. Say ye, how is the glorious staff broken into pieces, the rod of magnificence? Come down from thy glory and sit down in a damp place. Dagon shall be broken, because Moab is destroyed. There is gone up against thee one to ravage thy stronghold. Stand by the way and look, that thou dwellest in error. And ask him that is fleeing, and him that escapes, and say, what has happened? Moab is put to shame, because he is broken. Howl and cry, proclaim Arnon that Moab has perished, and judgment is coming against the land of Mesor, upon Shalon, upon Rephus, upon Mophis, upon Dabon, upon Nabal, and upon the house of Dathaltham, and upon Kerathaim, and upon the house of Gamal, upon the house of Maon, upon Keroth, and upon Bosor, and upon all the cities of Moab far and near. The horn of Moab is broken, and his arm is crushed. Make ye him drunk, for he has magnified himself against Yah, and Moab shall clap with his hand, and shall be also himself a laughingstock. For surely Yasharal was to thee a laughingstock, and was found among thy thefts, because thou didn't fight against him. The inhabitants of Moab have left the cities, dwelt in the rocks. They have become as doves nestling in the rocks at the mouth of a cave. And I have heard of the pride of Moab. He has greatly heightened his pride and his haughtiness, and his heart has been lifted up. But I know his works. It is not enough for him. Has he not done thus? Therefore, howl ye for Moab on all sides. Cry out against the shorn men in a gloomy place. I will weep for thee, O vine of Asarema, as with the weeping of Jazer. Thy branches are gone over the sea. They reach the cities of Jazer. Destruction has come upon thy fruits and upon thy grape gatherers. Joy and gladness have been utterly swept off the land of Moab. And though there was wine in thy press, in the morning they trod it not, neither in the evening did they raise the cry of joy. From the cry of Eshbon even to Etham, their cities uttered their voice, from Zigor to Oronaim, and their tidings as a heifer of 3 years old. For the water also of Nebron shall be dried up. And I will destroy Moab, saith Yah, and he comes up, as he comes up to the altar and burns incense to his gods. Therefore the heart of Moab shall sound as pipes. My heart shall sound as a pipe for the shorn men, for as much as what every man has gained has perished from him. They shall all have their heads shaved in every place, and every beard shall be shaved, and all hands shall beat the breast, and on all loins shall be sackcloth, and on all housetops of Moab, and in the streets shall be mourning, for I have broken him, saith Yah, as a vessel which is useless. How has he changed? How has Moab turned his back? Moab is put to shame and become a laughingstock, and as an object of anger to all that are round about him. For thus says Yah, Kerioth is taken, and the strongholds have been taken together. Moab shall perish from being a multitude, because he has magnified himself against Yah. A snare and fear and the pit are upon thee, O inhabitant of Moab. He that flees from the terror shall fall into the pit, and he that comes up out of the pit shall even be taken in the snare. For I will bring these things upon Moab in the year of their visitation. Shoo-wee.
Good job.
All right. So, this definitely feels like very revelation-y language when he talks about Babylon. And every time I read about Babylon, for whatever reason, my mind flashes to the Vatican. You know, like Rome, how it rules everything. I wonder if there's a connection if we just call it Rome, but it's really, Babylon number 4 or 5, whatever. But
Yeah.
I can't help when I read it about the influence, because she's got influence for people that trade. You know what I mean? Her influence reaches to foreign areas. Like, it talks about the seas. Like, there's so much that connects back to Rome when they talk about Babylon in this like revelatory language, and I completely wonder if there's a connection there, and that it'll be the Vatican and Rome that are taken down, at
Well,
the end.
if this means anything to you, the authors of the Targums believe Edom became Rome. So there's a Edomite possible connection to Rome, and there's been
Like,
books written.
it was always whacked back, and it always had a remnant, like Yah's people. Like, it's as though it was never completely gone, and then it just re-emerged in some different way, like
Yeah,
Rome, Eastern Rome
like
and Western Rome.
Yeah, it's like they evolved. They tried to hide themselves. The according to historians, though, that's what happened, and why Rome, it seems everything's connected to Rome, and why the Vatican is so concerned with destroying Yahuwah's people is because, supposedly they're the Edomites.
And they also, according to this story, they're going to be the ones that take up swords against them, if that's who they are, because it talks about going in with your sword and wasting all the inhabitants.
Yeah.
Is that
I thought it was interesting. You read a verse that talked about young of monsters. I couldn't help but pay attention to that verse.
Oh, Doug.
I'm like, I'm already going back to Genesis 6. I'm like, all right, here we go. Or Daniel 2:43 for that matter. I'm like, okay, young of monsters. Okay, because there's even what's the book that was in the 1611 King James that talks about something similar to this? It says, in those days, menstruous women will give birth to monsters. Fourth Ezra. And Fourth Ezra also talks about that the fourth beast kingdom that Daniel referred to was Rome or Edom. So it seems like this is definitely end times language. I would agree with you. This is like through this whole Jeremiah portion, it's all about end times Babylon. The reason the monsters thing shot out to me is because when I look at that, it reminds me of Isaiah 13. It talks about devils will be dancing there, satyrs will be dwelling there. It just jotted my memory there.
Therefore, idols shall dwell in the islands, and the young monsters shall dwell in it. Like, it talks about a haunt for demons and every unclean bird. They even mentioned ostriches being there.
What's weird is that some translations, and that verse seems to indicate that it is talking about ostriches, but I noticed the Masoretic text a lot. They substitute where the Septuagint has sirens. They'll have like ostriches or some other bird there instead of sirens. So it's really weird.
The other thing I would imagine is there's probably about 1 million pounds of buried treasure in the names of all these places that we just went over. I bet you there's all kinds of meaning, because it was just name after name after name after name after name. I find that skipping over names without looking into them, sometimes you can be doing yourself a disservice.
See the. Yeah, let me see the names. Let me see here. Yeah, the Moabites. I remember you mentioned them. The judgment against them. Who else?
Chaldeans.
Yeah, the Chaldeans, pretty much. From my little bit of historical knowledge, the Chaldeans are pretty much the Babylonians. They're one and the same. So when it's talking about the land of the Chaldeans, that's Babylon. Let's see here. Trying to think. Because I know you mentioned a couple. There was one chapter that had like a couple of them. Zedekiah is the king of Judah from these chapters. So he's the one. Now, what's interesting is
of his father, Moab.
Yahuwah appointed for us prophets in Babylon. Oh, okay, that's them saying that. Okay. All right. Yeah. Now, who is this? Jode the priest? Is this Yohada? Let's see here. Yeah, Yehoiada. Okay. In 29 verse 26. Okay. Oh, wow. They're mentioning the prophet Zephaniah here. Huh. Yeah, that's why I like to look at some of these names, because sometimes we glance over this stuff, like you were saying, and this is definitely important because this tells us when Zephaniah, when the events of his book would have been taking place. Let me see here. Yeah. Wow, he was a priest? I didn't know that. Huh. Interesting. I never knew that Zephaniah was a priest. That's interesting. Um, let's see what else. Now, if I remember correctly with this timeline, Zedekiah is taken to Babylon and he dies in Babylon, if I'm not mistaken. And interesting. So Zedekiah is king of Judah in the 5th month. Ananias, the false prophet, the son of Azur from Gibeon. Huh. So he is from the line of Gibeon, this false prophet. Hmm. Huh. The king of Tyre is mentioned in 27. I wonder if this is the same king of Tyre in Ezekiel. So you got the king of Edom here mentioned, king of Moab, the king of Ammon, Tyre, and Sidon. Huh. Interesting. I'm seeing if anything else jumped out to me. Oh, this is interesting. I have made the earth by my great power and with my high arm. So I just find it interesting that the plurality of the creator is being shown here in Jeremiah 27:5. And I think in a physical Septuagint, that would be chapter 34, verse 5. Let's see here. House of Shiloh. Princes of Judah. Oh, I wrote notes down. I'm stupid. I could be looking at my notebook. Actually, most of my notes were from Zechariah's reading, actually. Okay. I do have one from what Brother Jeff just read. Another witness that Yahusha is co-creator. We can go here. Jeremiah 28:15. Huh. Interesting. Hold on. Oh yeah, here we go. In the physical Septuagint, you can find this in 51 verse 15, but on my sword, they fixed it to 28 verse 15. Yahuwah made the earth by his power, preparing the world by his wisdom. By his understanding, he stretched out the heaven. And according to the book of Proverbs, Yahusha is wisdom. He's the person wisdom. Go ahead, Joshua. I'm sorry about that. I didn't even know your hand was up.
That was a while back. I forgot. Where is that in Proverbs?
Let me see. Let me put it on the screen here. Specifically Proverbs chapter 8, starting at verse 22 all the way down. It's very obvious in the Septuagint. Yahuwah made me the beginning of his ways for his works. He established me before time was in the beginning, before he made the earth. Even before he made the depths, before the fountains of water came forth, before the mountains were settled, and before all hills he begets me. And then let me see here. I think there's another verse down here that talks about, this is almost a direct quote. This verse 30 here is almost a direct quote from that verse in John when Yahusha's being baptized and the dove descends and talks about, Yahuwah in the image of a dove descends and says, "This is my son whom I'm well pleased," and all of that. So it says here, I was by him, suiting myself to him. I was that wherein he took delight, and daily I rejoiced in his presence continually. So this person, wisdom, is someone who's been with the Father since the beginning, before time was, before anything existed. He was begotten by the Father. So chapter 8 clearly shows it's Yahusha and not Sophia, like a lot of people teach. A lot of people have that stupid feminine divine doctrine, not realizing who the person wisdom actually is. And a lot of it has to do with the translators monkeying up the Greek and the Hebrew and turning monkeying around, like the Greek word, when it says she, every time you'll see wisdom in an English Bible, sometimes it says she or her. If you look in the Greek or even the Masoretic Hebrew of those words, it's a masculine word, and it's not supposed to be she. So this whole feminine divine deception has been out there for a while. The Roman Catholic Church actually have in Italy, they have a statue that says the throne of wisdom, and it has Mary sitting on it. So there's an agenda to make people think wisdom is a she. And it's mainly due to the Vatican and the Catholic Church, because they want people to think, Mary's the mother of God, and she's a divine mother goddess in a Trinity, So that, that's where that comes from. Usually people that believe wisdom is a she, by association, they have to accept in the Catholic Trinity of, Mary, Mother of God, God the Father, and then Jesus, the Son of God. Usually people that believe that the person wisdom is a she instead of a he. I actually did a study on this with our group a while ago. I think you, Jeff, and Zakiah, I think I just met you guys at that time, and I don't know if you saw it. So let me see here. I'll just show you guys the name of it whenever you have time. Check it out. But I have it on my channel. Let me see if I can find it here. Oh, I know I'm gonna have to do. I'm gonna have to manually go through this stuff. I hate that. I hate how YouTube is on the phone. Let's see. So be it versus yeah, I think the so be it versus amen would have been a couple of videos after it. Tassels. Mm-hmm. 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 Here we go. So anyone that's interested in this topic, I recommend this video here. Anyone that's interested in it. Obviously, today we don't have time to show it, but anyone that's interested, you can find it on my channel. It's called Who is Wisdom? Divine Feminine Debunked. And so anyway, I would really recommend it. There's multiple scriptures that show, though, that wisdom is hinted at as Yahusha. Multiple times in the Tanakh, Yahuwah will say, by wisdom I stretched out the heavens. You know, if wisdom is a she, then we got a big problem. Mm-hmm. Then you gotta be a believer in Gnosticism and believe in a Gaia creator and a demiurge. You know, and who knows, that's where this female divine probably really originated from too, is Gnosticism, if you really want to get to the core of it. This deception with wisdom being female, Sophia being the, you know, Greek feminine word for wisdom. So I do believe there's a lot of proof that there was an agenda with the translators were in on it. They knew what they were doing. They translated masculine words as feminine. I mean, it makes no sense. So the corruption probably came a while ago, because almost every translation does that. You know, the corruption came a while ago, but you can easily prove that it's not, the word is not she or her, the majority of the time. Just by looking at the concordances, there's lexicon for the Septuagint, Brown's Drivers Briggs Dictionary for the Masoretic, along with the Strong's for the Masoretic Hebrew. You'll see like they will literally tell you, it will say for that exact word, it will say masculine, primarily masculine noun. So, I mean, so it's like, it's not like, oops, they made a mistake. It's like it was intentional, because almost every I forget how many times I had the Google Doc of it. I got to see if I still have it. But I bullet pointed every time they translated it as she when it's supposed to be he. And it's like multiple times. So, but anyway. But yeah, I believe 100% that wisdom is Yahusha, the person wisdom. But anyway. Let's see here. Let me go here. So we just finished Jeremiah portion. Now we're going to be going next to the book of Esther. Okay. So Esther chapters 1 to 10. Now, who's going to start us off with chapters 1 to 5 I have here? All right. Sister Marissa and Sadia, I have for Esther chapters 1 to 5. Okay. So let me just start a new recording here. And
Okay. Esther. What chapter? I'm going to read for Sadia. Okay.